Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. We kick things off with a story about a guy just trying to be nice, offering food to a stranger who claims she was starving, but apparently beggars can be choosers, and rude ones at that. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Gave kindness, got insults. Why some help never feels like enough. My wife and I were driving back from my parents' house after spending the weekend with them. It'd been a quiet, relaxing trip, just some family time, good food, and a chance to get away from work stress for a bit. On the way home, we decided to stop and let our dog stretch his legs. He'd been curled up in the back seat for a while, and we figured it wouldn't hurt to grab a few snacks and drinks from a local shop, too. The area we stopped in wasn't unfamiliar, just a small town off the main road with a couple of convenience stores and a supermarket across the street. We pulled into a car park, took the dog for a short walk around the grassy patch nearby, and came back to the car to load up the dog in his crate and stash the shopping in the boot. That's when a woman approached us. She seemed friendly enough at first, and as these things usually go, she started with a compliment about our dog. He's a sweet-looking pup, and people often ask what breed he is or stop to give him a quick pat. She chatted briefly, asked his name, and then came the classic line, "I hate to ask, but..." She told us she was hungry and asked if we had any spare money. I told her I was sorry, but we didn't have any cash on us. Still, I said I'd be more than happy to pop into the shop and buy her something to eat, whatever she fancied. She paused and then said, "Money would be better." I get it. People sometimes prefer to have money because it gives them more flexibility, but I repeated that I genuinely didn't have any cash, only Apple Pay. Again, I offered to buy her something from the shop, but she brushed that off and said the shop didn't have anything she wanted. She wanted hot food. Fair enough, I thought, so I pointed across the street to the supermarket, which I knew had a hot food counter, sausage rolls, pastries, rotisserie chicken, decent options for a quick warm meal. I offered to walk over there with her and buy her something from the hot plate. That's when her tone changed. She said no, she didn't want anything from there either. What she really wanted was fish and chips from a place in town about a 10-minute walk away. She kept pushing for cash, saying it would be easier for both of us. I told her again, as politely as I could manage, that I didn't have any physical money and that I wasn't going to a cash point or taking a stroll through town to get her fried haddock. Her response? "Well, if you insist, you can walk with me the 10 minutes to town." Just like that. Like she was doing me a favor by letting me help her. At this point, I was done. I tried to help, I really did. I said one last time, "Look, you can have something from the shop here or the supermarket over there, or nothing. That's all I can do." She stared at me for a second and then snapped, "F off, you P," and stomped off down the road, muttering under her breath. I stood there for a moment, kind of stunned. My wife looked at me and just shook her head. It's not the first time we've tried to help someone and had it backfire, but it always stings a little when someone flips on you like that. I mean, if you're in need and someone's offering food, why get angry when it's not exactly what you want? I know some people just want cash, maybe for good reasons, maybe not. But I was genuinely offering help. Not because I expected thanks, but because it's the decent thing to do. Getting cursed at for it left a bad taste in my mouth. As we pulled out of the car park, I saw her heading down the road, probably in search of someone more willing to hand over a tenner. Meanwhile, we drove off with the dog already asleep in the back, ready to just get home and call it a day. There's so much of that on Reddit, and it shocks me that people don't see right through it. Every option given to them is met with a reason, and it just doesn't seem to sink in that all they want is for people to send them cash. And our second story. Apparently flipping through vinyls while on the phone makes you look very official. So this happened on my lunch break earlier today. My dad's 60th is coming up, so I decided to get him some new copies of his vinyl records to play on a new record player he just got himself. I decided to go to a well-known bookstore chain that has a surprisingly good music selection in the back of the store. I walked to the music section at the back, and just before I start browsing for what I need, I noticed that the register/computer is off and the desk is completely empty. Usually with music, you check out here and not the rest of the store. I walk over to the register and inspect to make sure it's closed. Here I notice that there are 3 other people in the music section. 2 guys are sifting through the CDs, and a third man's a little bit behind where I'm standing, holding a pack of CDs in one hand and staring at his phone. I begin my browse through the vinyls and end up calling my mom and have her search through my dad's collection to make sure I'm not buying a copy of something he already has in good condition. So I'm there, going through the albums, reading out their names to her. Ultimately, the call lasts around 8 minutes. Just before I hang up, I notice the man with the CDs is moved to a little bit behind me, the same CDs in his hand, while he's kind of staring around. I don't think anything of it, and I spend another 2 to 3 minutes there and then make my final selection. With my vinyls, I once again check the closed register just to make sure it's closed and the sensors in the walkway won't go off when I move to the other part of the store. Before I step off, CD guy approaches me. Guy, okay, I'm ready to check out. Me, oh yeah, it looks like checkout's up front. Begins to walk out of the music section. Guy, oh, up front? Okay, I see. I walk through the store and hear him walking to catch up with me, and here I realize what has happened. I veer off to the nearest bookshelf and pull the first book I can off the shelf and pretend to go through it. I see him stop behind me again to wait. I give him a weird look and we awkwardly stare at each other for a few seconds before I see it click on his face. He makes a sharp breath and then scurries away toward the front register. This man had wasted a good 15 or so minutes standing behind me waiting the whole time he was ready to check out. He has to be the most patient man ever. I guess my phone call, picking up albums and saying their names, then putting them down sounded like inventory? And our next story. The neighbor who played dumb until his car mysteriously vanished. Before my parents split up, we lived in this weird little corner of suburbia, just 3 houses tucked between a greenbelt and a shopping center. Kind of forgotten by the rest of the neighborhood. On our left, we had this sweet retired couple who handed out full-size candy bars on Halloween and hosted summer barbecues with actual smoked ribs. They were the kind of neighbors who made the place feel like home. And then there was the house on the right. That one was a circus. It'd been turned into a rental, and over the years it played host to a rotating cast of tenants, each more chaotic than the last. But the most unforgettable, an Asian family who somehow managed to cram 7 vehicles between 4 people. Not little cars either, SUVs, beat-up sedans, a crusty old van, and one sad little hatchback that looked like it'd been cursed in a past life. That one comes up later. From the jump, it was nonstop noise and nonsense, loud parties that bled into our yard, empty beer cans and fast food wrappers in our bushes. More than once, we caught someone jiggling the handles on our cars. Dad installed floodlights and security cameras, but it didn't make much difference. It felt like living next to a frat house run by people who'd never heard the word boundaries. We had this big tree near the property line, definitely on our side. That cast the perfect shade over Dad's usual parking spot. That's where he always parked his black pickup. Everyone in our tiny little trio of houses knew that was his spot. It wasn't marked or anything, but it was a given. So one day, Dad pulls into the street after work and just stops. There, under the tree, in his spot is the sad little hatchback, just parked like it had lived there forever. No one around, no note, just leaking oil into our grass and baking in the sun like a forgotten sandwich. Dad walks over, knocks on their door, and a younger guy answers. Dad, keeping it polite, says, "Hey, your car's on my property. Mind moving it so I can park?" The guy looks him dead in the eyes and goes, "Sorry, no speak English." And it was so obvious he understood every word. You could see it in the way he shifted his weight, how he smirked just a little, like it was a game. Dad didn't get mad, just nodded and said, "All right, end of the week it's gone, otherwise I'm calling a tow." Well, a week came and went, then 2, then 3. Same guy, same line, same useless hunk of metal rotting in our yard. And then one Wednesday afternoon, things changed. Dad came home early, drove his pickup out like normal, but a few hours later he came back, this time behind the wheel of a flatbed tow truck he'd rented. From the living room window, I watched him load that hatchback like it was second nature. Smooth, quiet, not a single scratch left behind. Then he drove off. When he got back, I asked, "Where'd you put it?" He gave this grin, calm, like he'd just beat someone at chess. Shopping center by Walgreens, couple rows back, should blend in just fine. Next day, knock on the door. Same guy, only now suddenly he speaks perfect English. "Hey, do you know what happened to my car?" Dad blinks like he's just waking up. Wait, you do speak English? The guy shifts, clearly caught. Yeah, I've been taking classes. Dad leans against the door frame, gives him the faintest smirk. Well, no idea where your car went, but if you moved it, thanks. My lawn was getting kind of tired of it. They stood there for a second, this weird silence between them. Then the guy just nodded and walked off. And that was it. No more cars in that spot. No more parties bleeding over into our yard. It was like someone drew an invisible line and everyone suddenly agreed to stay on their side of it. They didn't move out right away or anything, but after that it was quiet. Real quiet. And our last story. Karen versus the Bulldogs. Knock, knock, knock. I set my coffee down and headed for the door. Already feeling that familiar twitch of irritation. If this was another one of those New Age leaflet people preaching the path to spiritual enlightenment, I was about to show them the light through the door. But no, it was her. Dressed head to toe in beige, HOA badge glinting in the sun, hair frozen in a helmet-like updo that defied all winds, and that signature look on her face, like I'd just left a dog poop bomb on her porch. Good morning, she said like she'd just sipped vinegar. I'm Karen from the Homeowners Association. Oh, I remember you, Karen. You're the one who threatened to fine me last month over my aggressive pumpkin on Halloween? Exactly. I'm here on a serious matter. Your French Bulldogs. They're in violation of our rules. You need to either get rid of them or, she took a dramatic breath, move out within a week. I stared at her. Excuse me? Section 12.3.4 clearly states any animal that produces more than 2 sounds within a 10-minute period shall be considered a noise pollutant. Your dogs barked 3 times, Mrs. Doctor, I corrected. Pardon? Dr. Borovic? I'm a dentist. Karen snorted like I owed her money. Well then, as a professional, you should understand the importance of peace and quiet. Karen, this is my house. Yes, of course, but according to the charter, I let her ramble, eyes skimming some printout like it was gospel. My face smiled politely, but my brain was already sharpening its legal claws. You must be renting. Nope, I own the place. Well, technically everything's under my younger brother's name. He handles the paperwork since I don't have time for that. Aha! Her eyebrows shot up like she'd found buried treasure. So you are the tenant. I reached into the mailbox and pulled out a copy of my last tax filing with all the property documents kept there out of laziness. Honestly, I held them up to her nose. See, that's my name, that's the address, that's the stamp. I own this house. Karen took the papers like they were about to explode and started reading like a student cramming for finals. This can't be right. Why? Because I'm not wearing a business suit or yelling at people from my SUV? But your brother. Karen had assumed my brother owned the house she rents because he manages my properties and handles the leases, including the one she signed. He's just the manager. You rent from him, but I'm the owner. Her face changed completely. Silence. The kind so thick even my bulldog stopped snoring. And then things got interesting. You know, she said suddenly, I've been thinking, maybe you're right. Those rules about animals, honestly, they're kind of silly. Oh? Yes, I'll bring it up at the next board meeting. Put it to a vote to remove them. Well, thank you. No problem. I really should be going. Didn't expect this to take so long. Have a nice day. Karen practically power walked back to her house. The next day, she brought me a pie. And the week after that, another one, carefully wrapped in foil, labeled gluten-free. Then came a note on my door. Thank you for keeping your lawn so neat. She still doesn't like my dogs, but now she pretends she does, even if she mixes up their names every single time. And every time I smile, because every time I remember how good it feels to hold all the cards. I may look young, but that doesn't mean I can't defend myself. Honestly, if I didn't have a non-hyphenated last name, I doubt Karen would have even dared to step on my porch. Karen's the type who climbs the corporate ladder even when there's no office, just a cul-de-sac. Absolute nightmare. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.